I'm again in front of the garden shed built by my great-grandfather 100 years ago, and it got really cold overnight. So for the first time in this season, there are hints of snow on the mountaintops. Anyway, 2 weeks ago, I started a new series of videos on what good looks like in procurement. The first two videos mostly were about explaining the framework. In this video, I talk about how your mindset will determine the ultimate success of your procurement, and I will show you how this is true in all four corners of the framework. Let's get started. Before we dive into the mindset topic, let me show you the framework that I use for explaining what good looks like in procurement. On the horizontal axis, we have the focus of procurement. It ranges from pure cost reduction focus to focus on profitable growth. While profitable growth sounds similar to cost reduction, it is something entirely different. With profitable growth, procurement ensures that the company offers the right products with the right innovation from the right suppliers. On the vertical axis, we have the mandate of procurement. It ranges from supporting the corporate strategy to shaping the corporate strategy. In my experience, companies in traditional industries typically reside in the lower left portion of the framework. Companies in high tech will reside more toward the upper right of the framework. Also, there's no good or bad area in this framework, but it is super important to be crystal clear where you are and to use the right tools. And I talked about this in the previous videos. In this video, we focus on your mindset, and we will see that ultimately your mindset will determine the outcome of all efforts. Let's start on the bottom left. This is where many traditional industry companies reside. Their procurement focuses on cost reduction, and they are content with just supporting the corporate strategy. In many of these traditional industry companies, procurement takes a very cautious approach. This may make them reliable and predictable for the CFO, and this may even be a good thing. But procurement in these types of companies definitely is not a fun and interesting place to be. But I've seen remarkable transformation after bringing in the purchasing chessboard. With the purchasing chessboard, procurement people suddenly had a comprehensive toolbox with 65 differentiated methods to reduce cost. Before, when they sat down with their bosses to discuss the savings target for the next year, they would engage in a lot of haggling. The boss would demand 3% cost down. They would say that only 2% were possible. And after a lot of back and forth, they would settle on 3%. With the purchasing chessboard, the boss would still demand 3% cost down, but to the total surprise of the boss, they would offer 5% or even 6%, and they would achieve it. So what we see here is a procurement team that does not waste any more time on internal negotiations and instead is directing all its energy to external negotiations with suppliers. So let's move to the second example. Procurement organizations that still focus on cost reductions but have the ambition to shape the corporate strategy. At many companies, procurement has come up with fancy ways to prove its value. They exclude market headwinds from the savings calculation. They expect to be praised for cost avoidance. They don't look at raw material prices because someone else within finance is taking care of this. So all of this behavior makes the finance community question the seriousness of procurement. But then there are procurement teams who have stopped all of this. They let finance take care of measuring performance. They don't bake annual savings into the business award, but drive down cost as quickly and as hard as possible. This means that their savings performance fluctuates wildly. They may have a bumper year with huge savings, followed by 2 or 3 years with hardly any savings. But the CFO understands what is going on and fully endorses what procurement is doing, because the CFO knows that procurement is going after each savings opportunity immediately and without hesitation. Moving on to the third example, a procurement team that is focused on profitable growth while being content with just supporting the corporate strategy. For many companies, digital in procurement feels like a science project. They experiment forever without any tangible improvement. But then there are pioneers in SRM. They segment their suppliers by the strategic potential each supplier offers to the company, and they see that more than 90% of suppliers have almost no strategic potential. And then they decide to automate all interactions with these suppliers. This can be done with simple IT tools. Maybe not a sexy science project, but delivers huge and immediate impact. And finally, we come to the examples of procurement organizations focusing on profitable growth and with the ambition to shape the corporate strategy. These are the ones that recognize the reality of the 2020s. Technology is becoming pervasive. Sooner or later, every product will contain technology. Every company will have to become a tech company. But other than actual tech companies, the tech competence is not in-house. The competence that resides in engineering was great to bring the company to where it is today. But it will not be sufficient to get the company into the future. So simply helping engineering carry on is actually hurting the company. These procurement organizations embrace technology. They engage with suppliers. They ensure that the company offers the right products with the right innovation from the right suppliers. And these procurement organizations breed future CEOs. In many of the real-life examples I talk about in this video, the mindset change started with one team member. And the example of this one team member snowballed into the entire procurement organization, embracing a new toolbox and aiming much higher. I really find it remarkable how much can be changed in today's complex organizations by just one person. Okay, now it is your turn. In the comments down below, let me know what mindset change you would like to see in your company. And should you have a question, I will get back to you within 24 hours and I may even respond with a dedicated video. Thank you for watching and I see you in the next one. Bye!